Welcome to A Few Thoughts About, the show where we dig into thinking and how it shapes our experience of life. Each week, I share insights and observations to get you thinking. No long lectures, just quick, thought-provoking episodes to shift perspectives so that you can make the change you want to make. Let's get into it. Hey, before we get started, I want to talk to you about something really exciting that I'm doing. So a couple of years ago, I started a program called Shift, and it was all about shifting your thinking. And it was content and group coaching, and we went through these ideas, and it was fantastic. Like, I completely loved it. And I've run it a few times since then, but I'm running into an issue. The way I see things has changed, and I want to run Shift with brand new content. I'm going to do it in a couple of months. So if you want to be on the list for when that opens, I want you to go to my website, scottpinier.com/shiftinterest. The link is in the show notes. You can go there. You can get on the wait list. So when I do open this up, I will open it first to that wait list. So if you are interested in being there, if you took Shift before and think I want to do it again, or if you've wanted to do it, now's a great time. I'm going to do all new content, and it's going to be starting in just a couple of months. So scottpinier.com/shiftinterest. Head on over there, sign up, and you'll be the first to find out when it's open. Okay, let's start the show. Well, hello there, and welcome to A Few Thoughts About Turbulence. In this episode, I'm going to do the thing that I love to do, which is take a metaphor and just beat it over and over and over, possibly into irrelevance. I don't know about that, but I wanted to talk about this idea of turbulence. This is something that it's a phrase, it's a frame, it's a way of looking at things. And it's something that I've integrated into how I look at my life. And it's something I talk to clients about too, because this idea kind of changes everything. So let me start, and we'll riff on this for a little bit. And then I really do want you, after this episode, to email me, scottpinier.com/podcast. There's a place you can email me. Tell me what you think about this idea. Was it helpful or not? Okay, here we go. Turbulence. What am I talking about? Well, let's talk about what it means in a plane first. So anyone who's flown likely has experienced, at least to some degree, some turbulence. And sometimes that turbulence could be minor, like a little bumpy. You know, other times, I was on a flight one time down, I think it was from Manchester, New Hampshire to Orlando, Florida. And I had turbulence like I've never had before. Like, I felt like my head was going to hit the ceiling. Like, it was crazy, right? So turbulence is bumps. Turbulence is that rough ride feeling that we get as the plane is going through changing, air pressure on the outside, and a whole bunch of reasons lead us to like suddenly having this bumpy ride. Now, why is this a good analogy for a process like quitting drinking, or really any sort of change process? Well, here's the thing about turbulence. Like, when you're in a plane and you're going along, sometimes the captain comes on and says, "Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to expect some turbulence." I don't know why they talk like that. It's just my captain voice. But like, they're going to come on and say that, and then they're going to warn you, like, sit down and put on your seatbelt and all that stuff. Other times, you're just going about your business, and bam, like, you're shaking all over the place, right? I see that very similar when it comes to the quitting drinking process. Like, there are times when we know, okay, there is a party or an event or a get together or a day or an occurrence or something, and we can take the time to sit down and put on our seatbelt, metaphorically, right? We can prepare for whatever that thing is that's coming our way. And then there's other times where we're just going about our business, and there's some turbulence. There's a craving, right? There's some difficulty. And by the way, when I talk about turbulence in this metaphor, it could be, difficulty, craving, urges, stuff like that. It could also mean a data point. All of it counts, right? So there are times when we see it coming, and there are times when we don't see it coming. The thing that is the same in both of them is that we're going to go through it, right? And this is a piece of the metaphor that I think is really interesting. So when you're in a plane and you're flying at 30,000 feet, and you suddenly hit turbulence, they don't just like land the plane immediately. They don't turn the plane around and go back to where they came from. Like, oh, we hit some turbulence. We got to go back to Philadelphia. Sorry. Like, that's never what happens. The way that we get through turbulence is by going through it, by continuing to head in the direction we are heading in. By continuing to go to our destination, we fly through the bumps and we experience the bumps, and they can be very unpleasant. But that's what we do. And what does a captain say? Anytime you hit some turbulence, expected or unexpected, what do they say? They'll tell you, like, hey, we're expecting some turbulence for a little bit. We'll get through it. And on the other side, we'll be fine. Sorry, I didn't do the captain voice. But like, that is what they do. And now that's the same thing on this journey with alcohol, right? I don't know how many people I have seen have some turbulence and decide to turn the plane around and go back home, right? To stop traveling toward where they go, because we somehow misinterpret turbulence as meaning something. We somehow misinterpret turbulence as meaning that, we can't actually get to where we're going to go, that it's impossible, that because the ride's bumpy, it means we're doing the wrong thing. When very often, and this is the case in airplanes and in quitting drinking, all turbulence means is you're going through a rough patch. You're going through some difficulty. You're going through some conditions are changing and you're moving through it. And so it's really interesting because there are so many people that I work with that will tell me about how they have tried to quit drinking and they run into something. Maybe it's stress, maybe it's anger, maybe it's frustration, right? Maybe it's loneliness, maybe it's sadness, maybe it's just routine. Doesn't matter what it is. But I will hear some version of the story of like, oh man, everything was going well until fill in the blank. And then instead of looking at what this event, whether it be a data point or just a really strong urge, instead of looking at it as turbulence that they need to go through, they look at it as a sign that they need to turn around. Here's the thing about planes. You can't stop moving, right? Like, I'm sure you know how a plane works, but a plane has to maintain a certain speed to stay in the air. If it slows down too much, it will start to fall. The same thing is true with us. We are continually moving forward, right? Time, as we experience it, is going in one direction. And so we don't have the luxury of slowing down. We don't have the luxury of turning around. And for a lot of people, they hit that turbulence and they think, oh man, this is a sign. This means I can't do it. This means I can't go where I'm going to go. And they try to slow down and they crash. And I've seen this over and over. I've done this myself too. Like I remember there were many times on my journey where I would run into turbulence, sometimes minor turbulence, sometimes major turbulence, and I would just stop trying. And every single time I stopped trying, do you know what happened? I went back to the levels I was drinking and maybe more. Often more, actually. Right? I would stop trying. I would stop trying to move toward where I wanted to go. We'll talk about what that means in a second. And I would just let go and I would crash. It's the same thing that would happen in a plane. If a pilot's like, well, turbulence, we're totally fucked, and just shut off the engines, like, wouldn't be good news. So why am I sharing all of this? And I recognize, like I said, I'm beating the hell out of this metaphor. Well, this metaphor is incredibly helpful when going through any sort of a change. Because if we can talk about urges, cravings, bad days, even data points, even times when we drink when we don't want to, if we can look at them as turbulence, if we can look at them as part of the ride, but bumpy, that helps frame them in our minds. Because so often what happens is we take these things that comprise turbulence and we make them so much bigger than they are. And we make them mean not that they're part of the journey, not that they're something we have to go through, but that they are the end, that they are the place we're going to land, that we cannot go any further because of this turbulence. Like I said, if pilots said that, we'd never be able to fly anywhere. And I've been on plenty of flights, by the way, that don't have turbulence, but I've been on plenty that do. And every time we hit turbulence, we keep going through it. You might have to take some extra precautions. Might have to sit down and put on a seatbelt. That's fine. Might not be able to serve coffee and pop right now. Also fine. What I'm trying to get at is this. In any sort of journey that we have, I don't care what it is, any sort of change journey we go through, there is always turbulence. It is part of the journey. It isn't separate from the journey. It isn't something that only unlucky people experience. It is part of it. And it doesn't mean anything other than it's part of it. And what I mean by that is this. Very often people will experience this turbulence and they'll think that it's like somehow a sign that like they can't get to where they're going to go, or this is going to be impossible. That sort of thinking can really derail us. So instead, what I encourage people to do is look at turbulence as part of it, as the natural part of it. As a matter of fact, and this is where the metaphor breaks down, I think very often those things that we call turbulence, those data points, those urges, those cravings, those are actually there to enhance our journey, to show us where are the places we need to shore up our own tools or our own thinking. Where are the places we need support? Because when we see those things, we can do something about it and we can keep going. So turbulence is a thing that happens in airplanes, and it is a thing that happens in change journeys as well. There is no reason to make turbulence an endpoint. There is no reason to, and this is true in life, by the way, also, like, doesn't matter what you apply this to. There is no reason to look at the ups and downs of what is happening as anything other than turbulence, anything other than a bumpy part of the ride, and that our job on this ride is just to keep going. Yes, there's going to be stuff we need to do to be safe. Like I've said multiple times, we can put on our seatbelt. We can take precautions. But we know that on the other side of that turbulence is smooth skies. And the only thing we have to do is just allow it to unfold. Well, there you go. That is a few thoughts about turbulence. What do you think? Did I go too far with that metaphor? Should I go farther? I'd love to hear from you. Head on over to scottpenyard.com/podcast. It would be amazing to hear from you. I always love, input, feedback, things you like, things you don't like. Please do reach out to me. scottpenyard.com/podcast. Thank you for hanging out with me, and I will be back again next week.